देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया।
नित्यं भागवत सेवया।
भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके
भगवतेरुत्तमे श्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
श्रीमद्भागवतम कैंटो 2 चैप्टर 5 वर्स 14। द्रव्यं कर्म च कालश्च
द्रव्यं कर्म च कालश्च
स्वभावो जीव एव च।
स्वभावो जीव एव च।
वासुदेवात् परो ब्रह्मन्
वासुदेवात् परो ब्रह्मन्
न चान्योऽर्थोऽस्ति तत्त्वतः।
न चान्योऽर्थोऽस्ति तत्त्वतः।
द्रव्यं कर्म च कालश्च
द्रव्यं कर्म च कालश्च
स्वभावो जीव एव च।
स्वभावो जीव एव च।
वासुदेवात् परो ब्रह्मन्
वासुदेवात् परो ब्रह्मन्
न चान्योऽर्थोऽस्ति तत्त्वतः।
न चान्योऽर्थोऽस्ति तत्त्वतः।
द्रव्यं कर्म च कालश्च
द्रव्यं कर्म च कालश्च
स्वभावो जीव एव च।
स्वभावो जीव एव च।
वासुदेवात् परो ब्रह्मन्
वासुदेवात् परो ब्रह्मन्
न चान्योऽर्थोऽस्ति तत्त्वतः।
न चान्योऽर्थोऽस्ति तत्त्वतः।
Please recite.
द्रव्यं कर्म च कालश्च
द्रव्यं कर्म च कालश्च
स्वभावो जीव एव च।
स्वभावो जीव एव च।
वासुदेवात् परो ब्रह्मन्
वासुदेवात् परो ब्रह्मन्
न चान्योऽर्थोऽस्ति तत्त्वतः।
न चान्योऽर्थोऽस्ति तत्त्वतः. Translation and purport by Divine Grace of Charnaravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
जय।
Synonyms: Dravyam, the ingredients: earth, water, fire, air, and sky.
Dravyam, the ingredients: earth, water, fire, air, and sky.
Karma, the interaction.
Karma, the interaction.
Cha and
Cha and
Kala, eternal time.
Kala, eternal time.
Cha also.
Cha also.
Swabhava, intuition or nature.
Swabhavaha, intuition or nature.
Jiva, the living being.
Jiva, the living being.
Eva, certainly.
Eva, certainly.
Cha and
Cha and
Vasudevat, from Vasudeva.
Vasudevat, from Vasudeva.
Para, differentiated parts.
Para, differentiated parts.
Brahman, O Brahmana.
Brahman, O Brahmana.
No, never.
Na, never.
Cha also.
Cha also.
Anya, separate.
Anya, separate.
Artha, value.
Artha, value.
Asti, there is.
Asti, there is.
Tattvata, in truth.
Tattvataha, in truth.
Translation, please repeat after me. The 5 elementary ingredients of creation.
The 5 elementary ingredients of creation.
The interaction thereof.
The interaction thereof.
Set up by eternal time.
Set up by eternal time.
And the intuition or nature of the individual living beings.
And the intuition or nature of the individual living beings.
Are all differentiated parts and parcels of the personality of God at Vasudeva.
Are all differentiated parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva.
And in truth, there is no other value in them.
And in truth, there is no other value in them.
Purport.
This phenomenal world is impersonally the representation of Vasudeva because the ingredients of its creation, their interaction, and the enjoyer of the resultant action, the living being, and are all produced by the external and internal energies of Lord Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.425. The ingredients, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, as well as the conception of material identity, intelligence, and the mind, are produced of the external energy of the Lord. The living entity who enjoys the interaction of the above gross and subtle ingredients as set up by eternal time is an offshoot of internal potency with freedom to remain either in the material world or in the spiritual world. In the material world, the living entity is enticed by deluding nescience, but in the spiritual world, he is in the normal condition of spiritual existence without any delusion. The living entity is known as the marginal potency of the Lord. But in all circumstances, neither the material ingredients nor the spiritual parts and parcels are independent of the personality of Godhead Vasudeva for all things, whether products of the external, internal, or marginal potencies of the Lord, are simply displays of the same effulgence of the Lord, just as light, heat, and smoke are displays of fire. None of them is separate from the fire. All of them combine together to be called fire. Similarly, all phenomenal manifestations as well as the effulgence of the body of Vasudeva are his impersonal features, whereas he eternally exists in his transcendental form called Sachidananda Vigraha, distinct from all conceptions of the material ingredients mentioned above.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swami Niti Namine Namo Acharya Padaya Nitaya Krupa Pradayine Gaurakata Dhamadhaya Nagara Grama Tarini Namo Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavade Paschatyadesatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Hare Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudanam Mukam Karo Divachalam Pangun Langai Tegirim Yat Kripa Tamamunde Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mesaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Shanta Gopi Mataji has come. So she will conduct the class. She's expert in this Srimad Bhagavatam.
The 5 elementary ingredients of creation, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Guru Maharaj ki Jai, of creation, the interaction thereof set by eternal time, and the intuition of nature of the individual living beings are all differentiated parts and parcels. of the personality of Godhead Vasudeva. And in truth, there is no other value in them. Other than Vasudeva, there is no value in them. Purport, the phenomenal world is impersonally the representation of Vasudeva, because the ingredients of its creation, their interaction and enjoyer of resultant action, living being, are all produced by the external and internal energies of Krishna. Okay, so this is confirmed. Bhumi Rappo Analo Vayu Kamanor Buddhi Revacha Hankara Iti Amme Binna Prakriti Ashtata. So here Bhagavad Gita is referred. So this verse refers to the material nature, the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are the ingredients of creation. But you see varieties in this world, and the reason for the varieties is the interaction thereof set up by eternal time. So when these 5 elements mix with each other and the time acts upon it, and thereof what is created is Rajoguna, Tamoguna, and Satvaguna. 3 modes of material nature is also created. So all these elements are material nature. So Krishna has 3 energies: internal energy, marginal energy, and external energy. So here Prabhupada is explaining in the purport, these 3 are produced by the external energy of the Lord. So the external energy of the Lord, which you see in this material world, they are not false, they are existing. In material world, whatever you are enjoying, they are all existing. But it is temporary. But if you have to see any permanency in them, if you want to see the truth within any material object, it is Lord Vasudeva. In every atom of the element and in every heart of every living entity, Lord Vasudeva is existing. So other than Vasudeva, there is no truth in the matter. Of course, even the spirit soul is spiritual. We, as part and parcel of Krishna, we are spiritual. We are marginal energy of Krishna. So Krishna has 3 energies: internal energy, marginal energy, and external energy. So here this loka explains about the external energy, which is Jada Prakriti. So in school, we would have studied living thing, non-living thing. So the non-living thing world is where we are living. Where we are existing or residing in non-living entity world, Jada Prakriti. But there is a spiritual world where only living entities are there. Even the mat, the table, the chair, everything is spiritual. Everything is living entity. Everything is conscious. Jada means it's unconscious. Jada means matter. Matter is unconscious. So unconscious matter is external energy of Krishna. And the spiritual, the living conscious world is spiritual world. That is explained in 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The description of the spiritual world is given. Vyakta, avyakta means manifest and unmanifest. So this material world will manifest and then unmanifest. Manifest and then unmanifest. But spiritual world is eternally manifest, always existing. So here, if there is any value in this material world, that is only Supreme Lord Vasudeva. So here, Prabhupada very clearly gives us the discrimination of what is external energy, what is marginal energy, what is internal energy. Especially, yeah. So all the 3 things are there in the purport. The first he explains about external energy, the phenomenal world. Whatever you are seeing in the eyes, whatever you are feeling, phenomenal. So world is impersonally the representation of Vasudeva. It's an indirect representation of Vasudeva because the ingredients of creation, their interaction, the enjoyer of the action, the living being are all produced by the external and internal energy of Krishna. Internal energy produces the living entity, but external energy produces the Jada Prakriti. So now when we see our body, the body is matter, but the living entity which is living within the body is spiritual. So it's a combination of living and non-living thing, but the living thing doesn't belong here to this material world. So the living entity enjoys the interaction of the above gross and subtle ingredient. For example, take the tongue. If I take a plate and if I keep a gulab jamun, the plate will not enjoy. But if I take my tongue, even in my hand, if you give me an gulab jamun, I won't feel the taste. But in the same body, I have a bodily part called tongue. When I place a gulab jamun, of course, it feels taste. Both are belonging to the same bodily parts. How this is happening? It is happening due to the interaction. So Krishna is not only creating the, while during the creation, not just the earth, water, fire, air is created, but a combination of that with the senses are also created. 5 senses, 8 senses totally, 5 gross and subtle senses. And they are not regular matter, they have some speciality. Like normal matter, like a plate, if I keep a gulab jamun, there is no taste. Or my hand, I give no taste. But the same gulab jamun, I keep in my tongue, there is taste. So in this way, how to interact with the material world? We are spirit soul. The world is matter, the body is matter. When the matter and matter club together, there is no experience. So Lord gives the senses and sense object. Sense object is there in the material world. Senses are there in the body. And when they come in interaction with each other, there is an experience, and the experience is experienced by the living entity, which has got a body. So this is the external energy and marginal energies interaction in the material world. So the living entity who enjoys the interaction of the above gross and subtle ingredients are set up by eternal time is an offshoot of internal potency. We are with freedom to remain either in the material world. So the spirit soul can choose either to live in the material world or live in the spiritual world. The living entity has the freedom. But so material world, the living entity is full of darkness, foolishness, forgetfulness, suffering, hunger, thirst, all are suffering related. But in spiritual world, he is in normal condition. Why we are feeling uneasy in the material world is because we have come to a wrong place. We are living force. We came to a non-living body. We entered into a non-living body. Basically, we are liberated spirit souls, but we conditioned ourselves within matter. So we are called conditioned souls. Many times they use in the lecture conditioned soul, conditioned soul. What is that conditioned soul? Now we have to follow the rules and regulation of the conditioned existence of the body. Birth, death, old age, disease. These are all the conditions the matter will undergo. But you don't have death. You don't have birth. You don't have suffering. But because you entered into the material body, you have to undergo all the rules and regulation of the body. So you're conditioned by matter. So this is what is being explained. But the internal energy, what is the ingredient of internal energy? So here Prabhupada is explaining. Similarly, all phenomenal manifestation as well as the effulgence of the body of Vasudeva or his impersonal feature. They are also impersonal. Brahma Jyoti is also impersonal, whereas he eternally exists in the transcendental form called Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. Chat means eternal, no birth, no death, no old age, no disease. Chid means full of knowledge, no ignorance, no forgetfulness. Always active, living force. And Ananda means eternally happy, no suffering. Vigraha is Krishna, and even without the spirit soul is Satchidananda. The spirit soul is eternal, it doesn't have death. Spirit soul is full of knowledge, it is in the forgetful state now. Ananda is eternally blissful, but it considers itself to be matter, so it is undergoing all the trouble of the matter. So this is the verse. I don't know, maybe we can go to the next verse also. So in this verse, we learned, in the previous verse, we learned what is external energy, what is marginal energy, what is internal energy. External energy is material world, jada. In marginal energy is living entity or jiva, that is us. And internal energy is spiritual, fully transcendental. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.5.15. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Paraveda
Narayana Paraveda.
Deva Narayanan Gaja.
Deva Narayana Gaja.
Devanarayanagajam.
Narayana Paraloka.
Narayana
Narayana
Paraloka.
Paraloka.
Narayana Paramaka.
Narayana
Narayana
Paramaka.
Paramaka.
Anybody would like to chant?
Narayana Paraveda.
Narayana
Narayana
Paraveda.
Paraveda.
Deva Narayana Gaja. Nan Gaja.
Deva Narayana Gaja.
Devanarayanagaja.
Narayana Paraloka.
Narayana
Narayana
Paraloka.
Paraloka.
Narayana Paramaka.
Narayana Paramaka.
Narayana Paramaka. Anybody else? Okay. Synonyms. Narayana, the Supreme Lord.
Narayana, the
Narayana,
Supreme
the
Lord.
Supreme Lord.
Para, the cause and is meant for.
Para
Para
is the
is the
cause and
cause
is
and
meant
is
for.
meant for.
Veda, knowledge.
Veda, knowledge.
Veda.
Deva, the demigods.
Deva, the demigods.
Narayana, the Supreme Lord.
Narayana, the Supreme Lord.
Angaja, assisting hands.
Angaja, assisting
Angaja,
hands.
assisting hands.
Narayana, the personality of Godhead.
Narayana, the
Narayana, the
God.
personality of Godhead.
Para, for the sake of.
Para,
Para,
for the
for the
sake of.
sake of.
Loka, the planets.
Loka, the
Loka, the planets.
Narayana, the Supreme Lord.
Narayana.
Narayana, the Supreme Lord.
Para, just to please him.
Para,
Para, just to please him.
Maka, all sacrifices.
Maka, all
Maka,
sacrifices.
all sacrifices.
Translation, please repeat. The Vedic literatures are made by.
The Vedic
The Vedic
literatures
literatures are made by
and are meant for
and are
and
meant for
for
the Supreme Lord.
the
Supreme.
Supreme Lord.
The demigods are also meant for serving the Lord
The
The demigods
demigods
are
are
also
also meant for
for
serving the Lord
as parts of his body.
as
as
parts.
parts of his body.
The different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord.
The
The different planets are
also
also
for
meant
the
for the sake of the Lord,
And different sacrifices are performed just to please him.
and different
and
sacrifices
different
are
sacrifices are performed just to please him.
Purport. Can anyone read?
Yes. Purport, according to the Vedanta Sutras, Shastra Yonitvat, the Supreme Lord is the author of all revealed scriptures, and all revealed scriptures are for knowing the Supreme Lord. Veda means knowledge that leads to the Lord. The Vedas are made just to revive the forgotten consciousness of the conditioned souls. And any literature not meant for reviving God consciousness is rejected at once by the Narayana Para devotees. Such deluding books of knowledge not having Narayana as their aim are not at all knowledge, but are the playgrounds for crows who are interested in the rejected refuse of the world. Any book of knowledge, science, or art must lead to the knowledge of. Masi, could you please scroll down? Must lead to the knowledge of Narayan, otherwise it must be rejected. That is that is the way of advancement of knowledge. The supreme worshipable deity is Narayan. The demigods are recommended secondarily for worship in relation to Narayan because the demigods are assisting hands in the management of the universal affairs. As the officers of a kingdom are respected due to their relation to the king, the demigods are worshipped due to their relation to the Lord. Without the Lord's relation, worship of the demigods is unauthorized, avidhi purvakam. Just as it is improper to water the leaves and branches of a tree without watering its roots. Therefore, the demigods are also dependent on Narayana. The lokas or different planets are attractive because they have different varieties of life and bliss partially representing the Sachidananda Vigraha. Everyone wants the eternal life of bliss and knowledge. In the material world, such as eternal life of bliss and knowledge is progressively realized in the upper planets, but after reaching there, one is inclined to achieve further progress along the path back to Godhead. Duration of life with a proportionate quantity of bliss and knowledge may be increased from one planet to another. One can increase the duration of life to thousands and hundreds of thousands of years in different planets, but nowhere is there eternal life. But one who can reach the highest planet, that of Brahma, can aspire to reach the planets in the spiritual sky where life is eternal. Therefore, the progressive journey from one planet to another culminates in reaching the supreme planet of the Lord, M- Mad, uh, Madham, where life is eternal and full of bliss and knowledge. All different kinds of sacrifice are performed just to satisfy Lord Narayan with a view to reach him, and the best sacrifice recommended in the age of Kali is Sankirtana Yagya, the mainstay of the devotional service of a Narayana para devotee.
Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena. Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So again, now the similar sloka in the first canto, first one or in 3-4 chapters you would have seen. No, first canto will Narayana Para Veda, Narayana Paramaka, Narayana Para Veda, Narayana Param Jnanam, Narayana Param Tapa. So Narayana is the Veda, the purpose of the Vedas. So like in Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned. The similar sloka is here also, that Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned, Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedya vedantakrit vedavit eva chaham. The purpose of the Veda is nobody but to know Narayan. Veda means knowledge. If there is any knowledge in this world, what should be the purpose of that knowledge? People say that, okay, I am doing some research. Okay, you research. I am doing archaeology. I'm going to Harappa and Mohenjo-daro and I am digging and digging. In those days, in the olden days, the kings dug the well. Now people are digging to find skull and bones and dinosaur bones and things like that. This is the purpose. So if you ask them, what is the purpose of your digging and digging? They don't have any solid purpose. But actually, in Ishopanishad, the introduction itself, Srila Prabhupada is giving a definition of what is Veda. Veda means knowledge. Any knowledge is considered Veda. But the purpose of any knowledge, any seeking, any finding should be to find who is my source. Why am I suffering? Why I came to this world? Where from I came? How the world existed? These questions, Atato Brahma Jigyasa, you're supposed to question and find out answers. And any knowledge in this world should provide an answer either directly towards it or somehow or other directing one towards asking questions about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If there is any seeking, it should be seeking of the Supreme Lord, who is God. The search. So the purpose of the Vedas is nobody but Supreme Lord Narayana. Narayana Paraveda. Deva Narayana Ankaja. So here, even the demigods or Deva Narayana Ankaja means their hands. They must act as hands. If there is any administrative heads in the country, any king is said to be the representative god. Indra is said to be representative. In this way, many 33 crores demigod positions are meant to manage the universe. And they are supposed to act as servant of the Lord. When they act independently, they have to face the consequences. Like Indra, he poured rain on Brindavan. That is not by the will of the Lord. He did it on his own accord. He misused his power. And for that, he has to become humiliated. Simply a small boy lifted the hill, and then the entire Samavartaka cloud, which is a cloud which comes during destruction of the universe. Such a big cloud became failure. So any powerful things will become failure if there is not Krishna attached to it. God is missing, then everything is missing. If God is there, everything is there. So Prabhupada used to quote a very beautiful analogy. Our life is like zeros and zeros and zeros. And the more we achieve, we are becoming more zero and more zero and more zero. Only thing you need to do is you need to add Krishna in the front, not in the back. If you add Krishna as the last option, some people will say, God, when I die, we will see Bhagavad Gita. When somebody is old, that time they can read Bhagavad Gita. No. So you have to add Krishna in the front. So how many ever zeros you are, you'll become that much value. If you are only 2-0, you're very proud. You're only 1-0, you have very much value. But if you add 1 in front of that, it will become 10 only. But if the more useless we are, but when we add Krishna in front of us, we become most useful. People give many motivational speeches, but this is the truth. This is not a motivational speech. This is the truth that you add Krishna to your life, the most unvaluable thing will become most valuable, and everybody will hanker after it. But that thing is meant only for Krishna, not for anybody's misuse. So Devas are also representative heads. They are also meant to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and nobody should serve the demigods directly, need not serve. Not should not, it's up to them. But one need not, when you directly serve Krishna, you need not serve, because Devas are like hands of Krishna. They are meant to obey the orders of Krishna. No, and Goloka Vrindavana Dhamma, here it is Maddhama. Prabhupada is mentioning Maddhama. So here, without the Lord's relationship, worship of demigod is unauthorized. So you want to know the Sanskrit term, you're giving some lecture or something, you want to know the Sanskrit term, then understand that that's called avidhi purvakam, in a wrong way. This Krishna is mentioning in Bhagavad Gita, those who worship demigod are also worshipping me only, but in a wrong way. So that wrong way means avidhi purvakam, means they are approaching me in a wrong way. That's called unauthorized worship, or unauthorized way or wrong way, avidhi purvakam. So improper to water the leaves and branches of the tree. If you don't water the root, sometime we may wash the leaves, because there is dirt in the leaves, we can wash the leaves. Nothing wrong in giving a shower to the leaf. But if you don't pour water to the root, what is the purpose of watering the leaf? So same way, worshipping Krishna is primary. So even demigods are dependent on Krishna. So we have to worship Krishna. And there are many lokas, and they are very attractive, even within the same planetary system. Oh, have you been to Switzerland? Have you been to here, Hawaii? Have you been to Bali, Maldives, something? People who locally live there, they have not seen another place. Okay. Local people, it's also every day the same scenery, same thing, there's same place they are seeing. So it's nothing special for them. But we are so proud about, oh, beautiful world. No, there are many beautiful worlds. There are more beautiful worlds than whatever we are living. There are upper planetary systems which are even very rich and enjoyable. And we have taken many births in dogs, cats, and birds, animals, and then creepers and trees, and then Asura and Deva, and we have lived in different planetary systems, Kinnara, Kimpurusha, Siddha, Charana. So many births we have taken. And we are greatest travelers, and we have seen so much. Seeing what do you yield? Nothing, but in spiritual world. Everybody but still your suffering is continuing you, your anger, anxiety, fear, all these are chasing you. So we can enjoy a place only when all these things doesn't affect. Like when there is a small child, very small child, which is fully dependent on the parent, it can have some portion of enjoyment without disturbance. But as we grow, then we can never have an enjoyment without disturbance. So the actual enjoyment loka. So here Narayana is mentioned. Narayana Paraloka. The eternal abode, supreme abode, spiritual abode, is a place where there's no birth, death, old age, disease, no suffering. Entire spiritual world is called Vaikuntha planets. Vai means never. Kunta means suffering. Vaikuntha means never suffer. Never suffer. A place where there is no suffering at all. Even if you forcefully try to suffer, you cannot suffer. Prabhupada told the disciples, I order you to be happy. So following the order of spiritual master is the goal of life. But what Prabhupada is ordering, we may expect him, he is giving a serious instruction. There is no serious instruction. He said, I order you to be happy. That's all. Because you have come to Krishna consciousness, you have taken up Krishna consciousness. You should be happy because a mini version of spiritual world is established in the Krishna conscious movement. And you have to experience it and be in bliss. If you are suffering, that means you are touching matter in between, then you undergo suffering. So the demigods are worshipped also. So Narayana Para Loka. So the lokas or the different planets are attractive because they have different varieties of life and are bliss, partly representing Sachidananda Vigraha, where in spiritual world. Here also, there are some planets, Dhruva planet and Brahma Loka and all, very enjoyable. Because Lord awarded that happiness in that. So in this way, without the hand touching of Supreme Lord, nothing auspicious, nothing happy can be there. So here Paramdama is also mentioned. Therefore, the progressive journey from planet to other culminates in reaching the supreme planet called Maddama. Krishna is telling, Maddama, Taddama Paramam Mama. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Taddama Paramam, that abode of mine. There's no sun and moon, but there is brightness. There can be sun and moon not for the purpose of providing light, but for the providing enjoyment. They are self-automated, self-dependent planets. Nobody in material world can give you information about that planets. Only the acharyas and the scriptures can give you the information of that planet. Their only happiness remains. And there's no deterioration, there's no maintenance. See, think about a life without maintenance, yaar. How difficult it is to maintain the items in this world. You buy something, you buy a nice phone, you love it, you use it, it's outdated. And you have to go for the next version. If you have a body, you have to eat in the morning, again hungry afternoon, again you have to cook, again you have to eat, then again in the night hunger. Next day again hunger, next day. You want to just go there somewhere, enjoy something, and you don't want to eat for 2-3 days. Is it possible? You have to use the restroom. You have to take the constant maintenance because we are conditioned within the matter. That's why Prabhupada is making us liberated souls so that we don't have even self-maintenance. We need not do. If you, in spiritual world, if they eat only for enjoyment. They don't eat for hunger. The concept of hunger and thirst doesn't exist there. And even if hunger and thirst arises, it is by the will of the Lord. To please the Lord, to have some leela, Krishna will create some hunger to the Gopas. The Gopas will come and tell Krishna, we are hungry. Then Krishna and Balrama will tell, nearby there is a village where the Brahmanas are cooking. The Brahmanis are cooking and the Brahmanas are making yajna. So you go and ask, you go and bring all the yajna food which is cooked for us. And we'll all sit together and have a vanabhojan. We'll have a picnic here. And the boys go. They ask the Vedic Brahmanas, Krishna and Balrama has come to the forest and they are hungry and we want to eat. Then all the Brahmanas, how dare you village boys coming and doing this, and they chase them away. And they come back to Krishna and Balram and say that they are not giving the food that's meant for yajna. Then Krishna is telling, no, go and ask the Brahmanis. Go to the back door, kitchen door, and ask the cooks. So all the boys again go. So this hunger is created by Krishna to them. Only for the Leela. Otherwise, naturally, the self-maintenance is not required in spiritual world. Because we are eternal, there's no death, there's no disease. And if somebody says that my stomach is upset, Madhumangal says, that is also will of Krishna for some pastime only. Not by default, it is happening due to the conditioning. And then the boys go to the Brahmanis and they ask from the back door. The Krishna and Balrama has come. They are directly Yajna Purusha. Krishna and Balrama is directly Narayana and Ananta. And Krishna is the purpose of the Vedas. Krishna is the purpose of Yajna. So, Krishna, what is telling? What is that? Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. Bhoktaram Yajna, Bhokta means enjoyer. Yajna and Tapasya. Anybody does any Yajna, even a Muslim person is doing namaz, that namaskar is accepted by Krishna. Bhokta, Ram, Yajna, Tapasya. Somebody is fasting. That fasting is accepted by Krishna. Not any day, but on specific days from the scriptures, authoritatively. Not by our own whims and fancies of the mind. Oh, I am fasting on Tuesday and then Wednesday, and because I want to reduce weight. That is not the purpose. The purpose should be Krishna. So, Ekadashi, Janmashtami, and tomorrow, day after tomorrow, Narsimha Chaturdasi, we fast certain days. If you have Narsimha Dev deity in your temple, you can fast. Otherwise, it's okay. You can fast till noon or something like that. Fast with fruits, fast with water. Primary fasting for us is only Ekadashi, with non-grain and beans, no grain beans. And then Janmashtami, Gaura Purnima. Like this, we have limited numbers. And Narsimha Chaturdasi is optional. But still, so the Yajna, the ladies, they all have taken the food and they came with Yajna Purusha. They wanted to give to Krishna and Balarama for the purpose of the Vedas. They come. They understood. See, being a ladies, being housewives, they understood. But the Brahmanas were so proud and they read all the literatures. But they were so proud and they never knew that the purpose of the Veda is Krishna. And the Krishna is personally coming and asking, you should give. More powerful than to give. Personally giving is more powerful than putting it in the Yajna. Of course, Yajna is also received by Krishna only, but ultimate benefit. But still, when he comes, that's priority one. Then they run, then the ladies, all of them run. With all the cooked food item, they go with Gopas. They serve Krishna, please, all of them, make them eat. All the Gopas happily ate, Krishna ate. Then they're telling, we won't go home. Our husbands will finish us. Already, we have abandoned the yajna and we have taken it here. Then Krishna is telling, small boy, no, go back. Your husbands will understand. Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedya vedanta krit vedavit evachaham. I give them intelligence. I give them forgetfulness, remembrance, knowledge, everything I give from within the heart. Sometimes we are very proud about our intelligence, but it fails us in the right time. But when Lord gives, it won't fail like that. When Lord is giving us. So then they got home, and then by the instruction of Krishna and the husbands, they understood that how the wives have more knowledge than the husbands. In this way, they were very happy and they didn't punish them and all. Only one lady was locked or something and she left her body and all. So this is the purport, like how Veda is meant and Yajna Prasadam, everything is meant for Krishna only and nobody else. So when we directly take up to Krishna consciousness, we really don't have any responsibility in this world. So we can be very happily practicing Krishna consciousness without irresponsibly practicing Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hari Om. That's it. Anybody has any questions, comments, or realization, please do share with us. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
0.
Thank you very much for the association. So we'll continue our Srimad Bhagavatam class tomorrow morning after 8 o'clock. Till then, Grandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Padita Pawan Sri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Bye.
Vaishnav Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patithanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Nitya Gaur Premanande Hari
Hari
Hari Bol.
Bol.